What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here for another edition of the weekly sports card market update. A relatively quiet week hobby-wise. More news on the actual sports side of things with the NBA Finals going on, Aaron Rodgers coming back, Caglione getting called up, though that had some hobby impact. But not a lot of news, drama, and nonsense this past week as opposed to the week prior. The most highest anticipation thing going on right now seems to be Fanatics Fest. Now that we're about 2 weeks away, as I am speaking to you, recording this much earlier than normal, the Midwest Monster I know is going on regionally. That's down in Indianapolis. A lot of my friends are set up down there or walking the halls down there. Since I'm recording a little bit earlier on Saturday, I don't have a good vibe check for how that show's been going at some family stuff tonight. So I had to record this one late morning. But if you did attend the Monster, feel free to fire away down below. One of I won't name him in case he does not want to be, but one of my fellow content creator friends is set up at the Monster and DM'd me yesterday joking about how he could see at least 6 people sitting on the back of their Zion cases, sticky notes and Sharpies in hand, doing work. Someone else messaged me and said the repackers hit the Monster hard prior to the show even opening. That a lot of dealers got hit very, very hard before the show even opened its doors, as a lot of the repackers get dealer badges to these shows. They'll buy a table and not even use it in some cases, just to get the badge to get in before everybody else, to be able to buy up as much inventory as possible before the common folk get in there. Before we dive too deep, shout out to channel partner ComC.com, your home for buying, selling. Great way to get rid of cards you just got laying around the house. I did that drop-off submission at Shipshawana, and just yesterday, some of my cards started popping into my account. I was listing them for sale this morning, and they are already starting to move. And I actually just shipped 3 cards home from ComC yesterday as well. One that I bought that I am probably going to take to Fanatics Fest with me, and then a couple of PC cards. So once those get in hand, I'll post them on Instagram or throw them into a random video or something there. But if you're not over on ComC, go check it out as fast as you possibly can. I'll side note mention it here. Big week on the TCG side of things. Destined Rivals, the new Pokemon release, came out, and Final Fantasy, the Magic the Gathering collaboration, came out this week as well. So the wallet fatigue is running very hard over there. Let's dive in. We got a few news things to talk about, and then we'll look at some charts and graphs. This I came across on the Sports Card Nonsense Facebook page. I found this amusing after the Frank Gore Jr. stuff that came out last week and everything going on with Messi. Here we have Brooks Bannon, first Bowman auto. I think this is the first Bowman auto, but definitely a Bowman auto. With basically 4 different versions of his signature, almost 3. These 2 here look close enough to me that I'm not going to sweat that one. The rest look substantially different. Obviously, we have a full name here, initials here, but these initials look a lot different than these ones, so who knows what's going on. These all very well could be legitimate. Like I said in the video on Friday, they set 3,000 of these things in front of you. You start signing and say, oh, let's do this version. And then after about 50, you're like, this isn't going to work. And then you start shortening it up. I don't know what the fix is for this other than putting better standards in place for the players refusing some of the stuff. I don't know. I don't know what the fix is for any of this. Not necessarily sports related, but sports adjacent. Golden, this article over on Collect by Will Stern, has acquired a pop culture studio auctions, which does a bunch of pop culture auctions, movie props, stuff like that. If I was unlimited money rich, like just stupid money rich, I would go so hard into the authentic movie props thing They're so awesome, but they are so expensive. I mean, you're basically talking about 101s essentially, but some of that stuff is so cool that you see float through some of those big auction houses for movie props, like, you know, Thor's hammer, or Captain America's shield, or stuff from Indiana Jones, or guns from Star Wars, or lightsaber. Like, there's just so much cool stuff that goes through those prop stores. That would be my number one collectible category if I had just complete unlimited amounts, Scrooge McDuck style vaults of cash that I was swimming around in on a daily basis. I would blow so much money on movie prop stuff. It would be ridiculous. But Golden now getting down into that business as well. And there is a lot of money over there. This one, popular post on social this week, saw this everywhere. Caitlin Clark downtowns are coming. Surprising, they're in base Donruss, not optic or anything crazy like that, just in good old paper Donruss. I don't know if there is a formal release date yet for this. This is going to sell for an astronomical sum of money, not Donruss, but this card in particular, Caitlin's Downtown. I don't know. I don't like most downtowns. Some of them look okay. Some of them look really bad. This one's not doing it for me. I do not generally, this is one of those cards that everybody loves, downtowns in general, that in most cases, I just don't get it. I would much prefer, out of the three, Kaboom's Downtown and Color Blasts, I actually like Color Blast the best. I think I like Downtowns the least, and I am indifferent on Kaboom's. I have no real desire to own a Kaboom. Downtowns, there are a couple I've looked at, like LeBron has a cool Downtown in a Cavs jersey that's not bad. Some of the Cleveland ones look okay. There's been some ones that I'm like, oh, okay. I actually think Topps Home Field Advantage look better than Downtowns in most cases, but Downtowns are short printed, so they get all the love. The breakers love them because they're a great hit for repack products. These will sell for huge sums of cash. No thanks for me. Speaking of repacks, talked about this briefly in the repack video the other day. Fanatics Live on their Insta Rips is now doing the instant buyback offer on cards. I don't know. They don't state what percentage they're paying. Oh, offer for 90% of your card's market value. Sorry, it is there. My bad. I missed it. So same thing as Courtyard IO. And basically the gist here is, and Arena Club, the gist here is essentially churn the same card over and over again. Essentially, these digital repacks have unlocked the infinite money glitch. Repacks in general have unlocked the infinite money glitch, but the digital ones have done it to an extreme because of the instant ability to be able to buy it back and immediately put it back in the circulation. I'm sure there's a little bit of lag time there, but they're basically printing 10% on everything. And man, oh man, the money that they are making has got to be absolutely insane. Big hobby release this week. Bowman Sapphire came out. 1 box per person limit and an EQL drop. So extremely restrictive on this. These went up for, I think it was $479, $459, $475, somewhere right in there. I attempted to get one because that's pretty much all you could do is get one. I was not selected. 2 EQLs in a row now that I've missed out on, Marvel and now this one. And boy, oh boy, these things have skyrocketed up to $850 on the secondary market for one of these. 1 guaranteed auto, 3 parallels. So no Bowman rip for me. I love opening Sapphire. I think it's probably my favorite product to open. I think I've had the best luck opening Sapphire over the years, but will not be opening any this time around. Not at $850 a box. There's no way in hell. But on the secondary market, these things are a cooking, especially with the limit 1 per box. If someone wants to run a break on these, that makes them pretty tricky to get your hands on. So a lot have been selling so far. So if you were lucky enough to win the EQL lottery, you could cash in if you don't want to rip it. Next up, Caglione. the number one prospect in all of baseball, who's absolutely been smoking the ball in AAA and AA the last few months, hitting home runs left, right, and center. Got his call up this week. Collect Media has a nice little picture of his debut patch. He got his first major league hit on day 2. Topz threw up the Topz Now card. As I mentioned in some social media posts, this does have the call-up designation. So, assuming, and rough start so far for Cags, as he is like 1 for 15 or something like that with 1 hit and 1 RBI in his first 3 or 4 games. Him and, let's assume, Roman Anthony get the call up at some point in time, also one of the top prospects in baseball in the Red Sox organization. They will not have rookie cards this year. So everything will be Topz Now and will be call-up designations. They will highlight, assuming these guys play halfway decent to start the season, they will highlight what is leaning towards being an already strong 2026 class. Once again, assuming that these guys pan out. I think Kyle Teal just got called up from the White Sox yesterday, catching prospect that has a bunch of hype, and there's a lot of other guys that could potentially come up later this year. If Chase Burns got the call up, if Eldridge on the Giants got the call up, those would all be popular chases as well. If Cags and Roman Anthony, the interesting aspect here is because they're getting called up now, if they play well throughout the rest of the season, that is going to build a ton of hype going into 2026 product. If they struggle, like Cags is at the moment, that will obviously suck some of the excitement out of that for now. But big names to be headlining that product. I will admit I degened on a few packs of Topz Now to chase some parallels. There's also a short print. We'll see how it does. I'm not sweating over Cags going 1 for 15 or whatever he is. It's baseball. Now, could he end up back in the minors? Yeah. Could he end up back up and crushing the ball? Yeah. It's baseball. It's a weird sport when it comes to that sort of stuff. We'll see how this all plays out, but at AAA, he was absolutely destroying the baseball, and AA for that matter. His first Bowman prices shot way up over the last few weeks as is, and then he got the call up on top of it. His raw Bowman Chrome Auto is going for about $460. That is a 70% increase over the last 60 days. And his first Bowman Auto in a PSA 10 is up 85%, doing just over $1,000. By the way, I forgot to mention it. Market movers. We are transitioning over to charts and graphs. Link in the description down below. If you want to check out market movers, there is a discount code down there. So Cags performing extremely well. Someone else who we actually really haven't checked prices on much lately, PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong, having an insane first 2 to 3 months of the season, and his prices are way up, and boy, oh boy, there is not a lot of graded inventory on him at all. PSA 10 first Bowman is up 127% since the beginning of spring. His raw is up 151%, and the pop on his PSA 10 first Bowman is only 35. So I have to imagine there is a ton of these getting shipped off to PSA to get graded, given how well he has been playing. So I would expect more inventory to come to market. So I'd be a little careful running out to buy his stuff. 1, he's hyped as hell right now. And 2, I have to imagine that pop count is artificially low just due to the lack of grading activity for him. Another one, I was just curious about how he was doing because he's having a very strong season in his first full season. That's James Woods of the National, or James Wood rather. Having a relatively good year, and no one really seems to care. We're going to have a much better example of having a great season and no one seems to care in a minute when it comes to a different sport. But James Wood, PSA 10, dating back to March, flat, $450. The PSA 9 is up slightly, but just surprising to see. I would have expected some movement here. Like I said, he's having a very good season. I think it's just getting kind of overshadowed by the fact that he's on the Nationals, and other than baubles and ball cards, nobody cares about the Nationals. So we'll see what happens. A little intriguing that his prices have not shot up yet. Like I said, having a very, very nice season. Let's pop over, look a little bit of basketball. Boy, oh boy, the frickin' Indiana Pacers. Obviously, I'm recording this before game 2 on Sunday night. We'll see what happens there. But Tyrese Haliburton with another game winner, and his prices just continue to climb. Silver Prism PSA 10 up 125% the last 90 days. The 9 up 317% to $70. And side note, which I did not notice this, it explains why the gap is so wide, but I never noticed this until now. I guess, I don't remember if this is a 2020 silver thing on Prism Basketball, but Tyrese's anyways, it looks like it is a very tough grade. PSA 10 pop, 433. PSA 9, 1,500. That is hugely skewed towards the 9. So I don't know what the issue is with this card, but there must be something. Because usually you see it more like a 50-50 split or slightly favoring one or the other. Not this far off. That is a wild gap on 10s to 9s. And explains why the multiplier is so much higher from a 9 to a 10, because the 10s are actually pretty rare. 433 population on a PSA 10 silver is pretty low. So Haliburton stuff continues to go to the moon. Someone who's not going to the moon, Pascal Siakam. This one stunned me. And I guess it shouldn't, because you just never hear about him. He is arguably the second or third best player in the finals. He's either the first or second best player on his team. Haliburton's hitting all the game winners, but Pascal Siakam has just been tearing the playoffs apart. Is an NBA champion, has had a pretty good career overall. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Now, to be fair, there is a little bit of, some price movement happening here. His PSA 9 shot up just recently. That's the blue line, is now up to $55. His PSA 10 in mid-May was selling for $50. So not much of these have sold. The population count is pretty low. The raw card is up 181% over the last 60 days. Everything's up, but it's just like weird because of the lack of transactions. His PSA 10 population is only 213 in a silver. The 9 is only 133. So combined in 10s and 9s, that is nothing. 400 total graded cards between those two. Silver Prisms in 2016 were pretty rare, and obviously the print runs were way lower in 2016. Like, silver in 2016 is actually a really, really good parallel. It is pretty rare compared to everything else, just based off print runs, but nobody cares about Pascal Siakam. And this should be a very stark reminder to everybody out there that on-court play or on-field play, whatever sport you're talking about, only carries so much weight. Because he's been destroying teams. And his prices have hardly moved. They are just now finally starting to see movement deep into a finals run, where things are finally starting to creep up. I mean, this was a $30 PSA 10 back in April. Even with how well he played in the playoffs, it got up to $50 just a couple of weeks ago. Same with the 9. It started creeping up a little bit. Just wild stuff how much people just don't care about an amazing NBA player. And he's not even technically a big. He's more like a wing. So, I don't know. Last but not least, let's take a quick look at football. One Mr. Aaron Rodgers. The national nightmare is finally over. As a Browns fan, good luck, Steelers, with the head case that is Aaron Rodgers. Now, this did just happen, so not much movement on his cards yet, but he did see a small bump up, actually a larger bump up on the Chrome, which that is a PSA 9. PSA 10s are pretty pricey in that. That's up 46% over the last few months, and his paper PSA 10 is up about 10%. It did get a small little bump up the last week or so based off of the news with him going to the Steelers. I personally think he's washed. We'll see what happens this upcoming season. Probably due, I didn't do it here, but probably due to just do a bigger check-in on football in general and just kind of see how prices have been moving since, February, March, area once we got past the Super Bowl and see how things have been creeping up or down, what players have been moving over there. Maybe that'll be a standalone video this upcoming week. That is all I have for you, boys and girls, today. Enjoy your weekend. The weather is beautiful here in Northeast Ohio today, so I'm going to get outside. Got some stuff I got to get done. Got some family stuff tonight. Catch you, boys and girls, on the next one. Peace.